Welcome to the Rise Up podcast, where we get to explore the stories of business leaders rising above challenges and driving innovation. Super excited to have my good friend, Matt Teck, the director of sales at Kalibri Labs.
Yep.
Matt, welcome to the Rise Up podcast.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
And did I get the name of the company right? You said sometimes people wrestle with that name.
It's a very common misstating of the name. Some people say Kalibri, but it is Kalibri.
Yes, and we were talking off air, like what are the most mispronounced things? Lubbock, Texas. If you're not from here, gets a little bit of a weird one.
Sure.
You ever have a name that like gets mispronounced constantly that you're around?
Well, as of right now, just the company name for sure.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Which not much. My kids' names are all simple. My name's simple.
Yeah.
My wife's name is simple.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
For some reason that one that comes from a Latin word tends to trick
the
us
Latin words. That's right. Well, Matt and I go back a little ways. Matt, you and I connected. I'm trying to think how many years ago it was. 3-4 years ago. Are we 5 years in?
We're 5 years in. Yeah.
It's amazing how time goes by. You came into Lubbock. I think we connected through a local church that we're both here a part of. And remember we had coffee, I think at Gold Stripe Coffee. Mm-hmm. And we just like we're talking over lives and business and leadership and economics. And I was like, man, I need to spend some more time with this guy. And so I'm really glad to have you here on the podcast. So I always like to kind of ask Matt, first, how'd you get into Lubbock, Texas? How did Lubbock get on your radar?
Yeah. Well, I had never heard of Lubbock, Texas up until 2020. So I've been in the hotel industry for coming up on 10 years now. And during COVID, the hotel industry was just decimated. The travel industry in general.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Completely destroyed. And so I was with a company that went a little bit of a different direction than my specific mindset. I was in on-property sales.
Yep.
And some companies were eliminating sales positions. And my opinion was you need your most creative, forward-thinking salespeople now the most.
That's right.
And so I got aligned with a company that had that same thought process. That company just happened to take over the Embassy Suites here in Lubbock.
Yep.
After that, the previous owners had gone out of business, unfortunately, again, because of COVID. And so my wife and I moved out here at the drop of a hat. We got a job offer right before Thanksgiving 2020. We were here before Christmas, living out of the Embassy Suites when it was still closed and all the plant life was dead. And so we had a massive 3-story, 152-room hotel all to ourselves, which was great. And it was supposed to be temporary until we could get it profitable to resell. Yep. And we ended up just falling in love with the city and staying.
Yeah. What do you think about this city kind of just grabbed your hearts? I'm curious.
Mostly the people.
Yeah.
The Southern hospitality stereotype is a real thing.
Yeah.
I have found, or the West, like the West Texas hospitality is definitely a real existing stereotype. So the people was the number one thing. Everywhere we would go, whether we were brand new to a grocery store or wherever we were going, everyone offered. I mean, we had the guy at Natural Grocers offered to give us his truck to help move.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it never before happened where we were from in the Midwest, where not everybody is as friendly.
Yep.
The coffee scene in Lubbock is second to none.
Yeah.
I love the coffee scene here. And then a big anchor for us was our church, the church that you and I attend together. That was a huge, huge reason why we
Interesting. The grocery store, Natural Grocers. Uh-huh. My mom was there, and a guy, she had just moved to Lubbock. It's a funny story. She's like, I've got to get out to the driver's license place by the airport. I'm not quite sure where that is. Could you give me directions? The guy's like, yeah, better yet, I'll just drive out there. Just follow me.
That's hilarious.
Like, who drives 15 miles out of their way to let some sweet lady kind of follow and get there correctly?
People in Lubbock, Texas.
West Texas. There you go. That's right.
That's it.
And so kind of narrate me a little bit through your hospitality hotel industry experience. You've worked on site here in Lubbock, helping to get a property turned around. And then what did that transition? What doors did that open up for you?
Yeah, I'll take you back in time a little bit.
Yep.
To my very first hotel. So a lot of folks in my position generally enter a sales role in hotels having some sort of sales experience, having some sort of hotel experience. They've worked front desk, they've worked night audit. I didn't have any of that. I walked in as a director of sales right off the street, no hotel experience, thought that you just booked a hotel on Expedia and that was it.
That's right.
Had no idea what I was doing. So my first couple months was really trial by fire, getting to know all the different departments in the hotel. But I got to understand that there was a sales potential in hotels, oddly enough, through a music career that I had in Branson, Missouri.
Interesting.
So I played music full time out there. It was a show. We did a tribute to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It was a show that I'd been a part of for 11 years on the road, and we got a full-time slot in Branson. And, so I was able to retire my wife at the time, but I was so bored because rehearsal wasn't till 5, show wasn't till 7, and then 9 o'clock. I had all day. I was out there 3 or 4 days a week, and I had nothing to do. So I was like, I'm going to find a way to make some extra money and do something with my time. And I started doing some promotions for some of the other theaters in town, selling their tickets in bulk. I said, hey, if I, just a shot in the dark here, can I sell like 5,000 of your tickets? I'll sell the first 2,000 for free. You give me 2% on the remainder. And they're like, okay, 2,000 free tickets to sell. That's fine.
Yeah.
So I started going to all these little resorts and casinos and hotels in town and asking them, is this something of interest to you? And they're like, yeah, we put together these things called FIT package, fully intensive travel packages. And we include show tickets like this. So I started getting to know general managers, directors of sales at hotels. I was like, this sounds like a kind of a cool gig. But I was commuting from St. Louis to Branson every week for about a year because we just bought a house before I got the opportunity to play. And so when our contract was not renewed, to put it in a more nice fashion, it ended in a lawsuit, but our contract wasn't renewed, and not a lawsuit by anything we did.
Yeah.
We had to sue our producer, unfortunately. But I ended up having already replaced myself at my previous position. I trained up my replacement so that I could go do this. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to jump on Indeed and look at hotel sales in the St. Louis area. And I found this position, and I'm reading all the qualifications. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I'm a college dropout. I've never worked in hotels. I've never done any of this stuff before. And my wife said, then what's the harm in just applying?
Yeah. What a great statement.
And so I applied. I went to the interview, knew nothing about it. And they asked me, the magic question, why should we choose you? And I was like, well, I don't know much about this industry, but I think that can be good and bad. I don't have any bad habits to break. I know the industry is changing, and this was 10 years ago. So just consider me a blank canvas for whatever you need me to be for this hotel to be successful. And that's how I started my first job in hotels. And then I've moved up since then with various management companies, ownerships, and then out here to Lubbock, Texas. Getting back to the original question, in Lubbock, came out here for the job. I moved into a position where I was working with an owner operator here in town. They had about a dozen hotels. And about 2.5 years ago, I found myself really interested in the technology side of hospitality, which is what I've been for the past 2.5 years now.
So I'm going to go back a second because you said something that just grabbed my attention that I think is so good. And it's honestly overlooked by a lot of people. Your wife said, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And I think so often people refuse or fail or are unable to unlock opportunities and open doors because there's this kind of lingering fear of, well, what if there's rejection, or what if there's a no, or what if there's, all of these kind of what ifs, which feel uncomfortable. Right. Mm-hmm. And I have stressed this so much to my team, to my kids, my family, people around me, is like, right now you're at a no. Like, if you don't submit something, the answer is no.
Right.
If you don't do anything, the answer is no. You already have a no. You can't go worse than a no, other than just, feeling uncomfortable that they actually told you no. Mm-hmm. So just try it. Yeah. You have no idea the doors that could be unlocked. That's right. Even if you get a no, you sometimes meet someone and they introduce someone else. And so, man, there are so many good things that's going to come out of this. But friends and family, business peers listening, just try.
Yeah, just do it.
Knock on the door. Mm-hmm. Put yourself out there. And so how did technology start grabbing your attention? Did you start seeing some of the benefits that the software, the technologies that those hotel properties were using? and you started kind of going, how do we expand this, or kind of what was going through your mind as you were seeing that?
Sure. So COVID really highlighted a reliance on antiquated systems that the hotel industry was really relying upon, and the travel industry just in general.
Yep.
The travel industry, as much as we think it's very forward looking, is very antiquated technology wise and adoption of like new things. And so COVID just put a magnifying glass on that. So when we moved out here, I knew that I was going to need help being successful.
Yeah.
I mean, there was only so much business out there to find. There was only so much to go get. You know, Lubbock is not a big demand generation city.
Yeah, it's not Orlando.
So I've got to go find what's here. Well, you need like market intelligence to do that. I mean, you can go stomp the streets and you can go call all the businesses, but you would be surprised how many companies stay in hotels that don't have signs on their doors.
Yeah.
And so the company that I was with was very forward looking, and they introduced me to this specific technology that they decided to roll out company wide. And it was like a market intelligence, profit driven commercial strategy platform. Full circle. That's who I actually work for today.
Yeah.
I was introduced to the tool when I moved here, and now I work for the same company that I used to utilize back on property. But that world really started to fascinate me, especially when I moved into a company that never had sales, never had marketing, never had revenue management, never had any of that at all. And they needed somebody to come and build that for them. So
was there resistance? I mean, as you started recognizing the value that this technology stack, data analytics provides, did the ownership kind of go, oh, slow it down a little bit? You know, we still have a way of doing things. Did you ever feel some resistance there? Or was there a pretty much wide open door to really roll out whatever you want to?
Yeah, thankfully the conversations we had before I was hired was very much, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And if you hire me, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a whole lot of resistance because we had so many conversations ahead of time about that. But then when I got there, that's when I started really interviewing a lot of these different companies, what they do, how they do it, how they solve these problems. Everything from revenue management services to commercial strategy to sales to digital marketing, specifically for the hotel industry. I did not know all this stuff existed.
Yep.
And I probably interviewed 30 different tech companies to see what I wanted to utilize in my company that had never had any of this stuff before. And I was like, well, there's a whole other world here that I did not know existed outside of the little bit that I've used in my career.
So, and this isn't a sales pitch for the company, but I think it's just always fascinating to see the tools that are out there to the different industries. So now that you're on the other side of the table, not running and operating as director of sales for a property, but rather the software side, kind of what are some of the key ingredients and value adds that the software stack technology does for properties that you love introducing to management companies, hotel owner operators?
Yeah. So the 30,000 foot view of what our specific platform does is it focuses on something that we call revenue performance.
Yeah.
So it's not just about bringing in top line revenue, but how does that contribute to profit? And then subsequently, how does that increase the overall value of the asset? Like the hotel.
Yeah. Resale value.
100%. So we are the only platform that helps you optimize the specific mix of business coming into your hotel that influences top line revenue, but also flows through to the bottom line and gives you better bottom line for increased asset value. So it's the only platform that's got a win-win. Now in there's a couple modules that make it happen.
Yeah.
But when people see this for the first time, normally the industry has been trained to go look at the 2 or 3 hotels next door, and that's who you shift your business from.
Yeah.
We've got a whole sub-market here in Lubbock. There's 78 hotels.
Yeah.
Let's go find business in the 78 hotels instead of just the 5 or 6 down the road or around the corner.
Yeah.
And so this tool really opens that up to the possibilities of expanding beyond that keyhole outlook, looking at things more holistic, and then just pulling the right levers to make it happen.
So this may get super granular, but this is my CPA brain kind of geeking out on, what can you do to certainly drive value, revenue, bottom line, but ultimately value in the asset. So is the metric in the hotel industry maybe similar to what we've seen in some other real estate industries, whereby you've got bottom line, net income, net operating income, which translates into the higher that number becomes because of, again, the value, the cost savings, the expansion, and so forth. There's a multiplier effectively.
Right. Yeah.
And so is that software kind of help take people through that process or be able to quickly identify what that value, or how does the customer see, the owner, the operator, the management company see from a software standpoint, hey, we've increased value by $100,000, $500,000, whatever the number may be.
Yeah. We have a measurable pullback. The hotel industry generally has these three high level specific metrics. You have occupancy, average daily rate, and your RevPAR, your revenue per available room. RevPAR is kind of what you take to the bank. But what we're finding is that focus on RevPAR alone has grown insufficient for asset value growth.
Interesting.
Because while you can have skyrocketing top line revenues, that's what's happening right now is top line revenues are growing at a rapid pace, but margins are continuing to shrink.
Yeah.
So it's not keeping up. So it kind of depends on who you talk to, really. If you talk to an owner, owners only care about their profits.
Yeah.
Most of the time, owners hire third-party management companies that manage the asset on a day-to-day basis, whether that's sales, operations, whatever. For decades and decades, management companies have only been incentivized on top-line revenue.
Yeah, so efficiency is not as important.
There's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Now, we're also seeing a big movement of owners recognizing that and creating their own management companies to manage their own assets.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there's a bit of a shift going on.
No kidding.
In our industry right now.
Yep.
Thankfully, we can help anybody anywhere. If you're just one person that owns one hotel, we can help you.
Yep.
But how we can talk to different people in the organization from C-suite, but really the end users of our product are going to be salespeople like myself, revenue managers, marketing team, maybe a GM or two. But your C-suite folks are going to measure what we call our COPE revenue. So we're able, our perspective, all the data that we get, we're able to take all the acquisition costs out associated with every single reservation that comes in for over 35,000 hotels. And we can tell you this reservation is going to cost the guest this, and it's going to net you this.
Yeah, that's good.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
And so they can look and see, okay, what does my mix need to be so that margin is as high as possible?
So I always like to ask leadership questions because as you go in your own journey, you're exposed to different leadership styles and cultures. Mm-hmm. Well, at the same token, I know you have a real desire to bring leadership in whatever capacity you're in. So I like to kind of ask the question, what, in your career, what are some examples of leadership, maybe even some individuals that really impressed you, impacted you? Maybe the style of leadership, maybe it was just the way that their presence was, but kind of give me a couple of perspectives on leadership that's really made an impact on you and your career.
When I first started in hotels, oddly enough, my biggest influence from leadership was somebody who I had worked with in the past in financial services and didn't really heed his advice until I was away from him.
Yeah.
And his name is Ryan Hunsaker. And there was another gentleman there named Todd Bosler. And they would say things like, you become most like the 5 people you hang around. Or if you take the average income of your friends and, average them together, that's about, where you'll be at.
Yeah.
And you can kind of do that for things like, spiritual maturity, friendship and all that. And so they would tell me things like, hey, if you really want to change your life, if you really want to get good at this industry that you don't have any experience in, I would recommend that you read a nonfiction book at least 15 minutes a day.
Yeah.
You look at who you're hanging around and decide if that's the best company for you. And then somebody else said, you are where you are today based on the people you hang around, the things you watch, read, and eat.
Yeah.
And then there's a gentleman named, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but I think his name is Charlie Tremendous Jones.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar? Or a Og Mandino, like one of those guys.
Yeah.
And they said that you'll be the same person 5 years from today, except for the people you hang around,
Yeah.
the things you watch, read, hear, and
Yeah.
eat. And so I started really paying attention to what was coming into my life
Yeah.
at the time and just making adjustments.
And did you notice a difference as you paid attention and invested into, what you're putting into yourself and who you're surrounding yourself with?
Yeah. And not just in my career. I mean, my career moved up fast.
Yeah.
By month 5 in the industry, I was already overseeing 4 hotels at any one time.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward a few years, now I'm overseeing 12.
Yeah.
And so that was a clear indication. Actually, there's a book right behind you that I read as well that was really impactful called The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
That changed everything for me about 10 or 11 years ago.
Yep.
But also thankfully, these gentlemen were Christians. They were great husbands. They were great fathers. And so that discipline played over into a lot of other areas of our life, health, relationship, finances, everything.
You didn't use this word, and maybe I'm jumping to a bigger conclusion here. I don't think I am, but we're a holistic person, right? Yeah. I think so often people try to segment different parts of their lives, and I'm going to focus really in on the financial side or the professional side. And, I'll take care of these other things later, body health, family, mind, whatever. And I'm like, we're a holistic person.
Yeah.
If you neglect one area, there's a domino effect, and vice versa.
I agree.
You invest into your mind and your heart and your soul, your relationships. There's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Into every area.
I think there's an order to it as well, though.
Yeah.
Like personally, my order would be, relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And then a relationship with my wife.
Yep.
And then with my children.
Yeah.
Like all that is before work comes into play.
Yeah.
Because if you get all that stuff right, then you create this framework of relationship that just flows into your career as well.
Yep.
But I don't have to live with the people I work with every single day.
No. Well, and I think so too. People don't even understand of when there is chaos, anxiety, stress in personal, mental, family life. It is incredibly difficult to be productive in your professional life.
I agree.
And that's just kind of just a rational perspective. There's a lot more to it than that, but the vice versa is, but when you do invest in your heart and in your mind and your relationships and the priority of it, there's just the margin and capacity to give to your professional just exponentially increases.
I agree.
So as you have gone along as a leader, what are some of the leadership traits, priorities that you personally want to implement, whether you've got leadership over one person, no person, whole departments, but what have you leaned into in terms of your own personal leadership?
Coming from a people-pleasing background for myself, somebody who used to very much have a different face at work and at church and at home, something that I've really focused hard on is just being truly authentic.
Yeah.
Or our company calls it, hashtag be real, right? Just be who you are, with you at home, at work, and you don't have to figure out who you need to be next. You just are who you are.
Yeah.
And if, I think that a lot of people think that they have to be a certain way in certain areas. And obviously there's a time and place for professionalism and humor and all that stuff. But as far as your core personality, I don't think that we should have to change who we are to adapt to specific situations. We just need to be who we are because it's our unique presence in the world that brings us like diversity of thought, perspective into the world. And that includes your career too.
Yeah. That's right. That's good. Matt, I always like to kind of intersect a little bit how energy makes its impact, specifically in your industry, the hospitality, the hotel industry. I don't think is any different than anything else. Energy is an issue. It's a challenge. It's an opportunity. So I'm kind of curious, what's your observation around the challenges maybe that the hospitality hotel industry has to face, or maybe even how energy usage or sustainability, whether those are factoring into ownership, management, operations, and so forth?
Yeah. Well, sustainability has been a big thing for hotels since I've been in the industry. At least it's talked about a lot.
Yeah.
And I'll share a couple of like data points that might make it relevant today. So there's, as we're recording this right now, there's a tariff war going on.
Yep.
There's a massive cutback in federal spending. And as far as the travel industry goes, that's having obviously a direct effect in government production, but it's also having a lot of downstream effects in corporate production, specifically with companies who are doing big government contracts. And then with all the layoffs from the government and the companies, then you've got leisure travel falling behind.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that at this current time, about 60% of the 930 submarkets out there for hotels are pacing behind 2024.
Yeah.
Which is not a good place to be. And margins continue to shrink on top of that.
Yeah.
So as of right now, there's just almost just like a survival mentality.
Yeah.
So one of the there's two challenges specifically. One, the hotel industry is not known for being an early adopter of new initiatives. So you're kind of talking to people who are still living in the past.
Yeah.
And that's not a disrespectful thing. We know that about ourselves,
Yeah.
But number two, there are so many competing priorities that I think for somebody like yourself, there's got to be a really compelling business case for them to want to give you the very little attention and time that they have at the moment while they're trying to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's exactly right. And I think when I think about even where we try to align or intersect, it's always along, I don't want to take up any of your time or energy. All I want to do is maybe suggest one or two ideas or solutions that maybe cost nothing, doesn't take any of your management time or energy, but if I can have a meaningful slash in cost and increase margins, maybe that's worth, discussing.
Oh, sure.
Because that's all you really can do as a business owner. It's like, listen, this is not top of mind. I've got 15 other things I need priority over. But if I can make a meaningful impact or slash in costs, increase margins at, little to no cost or energy time, hopefully we're introducing something that's worth, trying to see if it makes it a real impact.
Yeah.
So no, I totally agree. It's an interesting time we live in that's happened pretty quickly in terms of all of these, I say really 30 to 60 days of rapid fire changes coming down through all industries. And certainly the travel leisure is not immune to it whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, hotels just spent all of Q4 coming up with their 2025 budgets and strategies and forecasts and all that stuff. And they were executing on those. And then, 30 to 60 days ago, the entire industry has to pivot now because those same strategies they're already outdated.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
Thankfully, we have a tool that's very adaptable.
Yeah, that's right. And your tool kind of allows you to help hotels to pivot more efficiently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So much more valuable in that regard. Well, good. Well, as we kind of come to conclusion here, we always have a little rapid fire session where I ask you a question. First thing that comes to your mind, there's no right or wrong answer. You just kind of fire it off. So what's your favorite hotel you've ever stayed in? You have a favorite, like just boom hits you?
The Broadmoor in Colorado Springs.
Oh, man. Now that hotel is not new.
No, it's a 5-diamond hotel with 5-star restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible experience.
Yeah, we've had some friends stay there. I was invited to come to a conference there. They were going to pay for everything, and I couldn't make it, Matt.
Oddly enough, I've been there twice, and both times were paid for.
Yes,
I didn't pay a dime.
Yeah.
One was a company incentive that we won, so we got like a week there for free. Tips included, everything, all the food. They shut down the entire hotel just for us.
Wow.
And then the other one was for a hotel conference. I'd have to pay for that either.
I think Broadmoor is like over 100 years old, right? I mean, it's been around and improved upon and expanded upon there in Colorado Springs. Yeah. Fantastic hotel. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about hotel profitability? You even kind of referenced some things about efficiency and margins.
One of the biggest misconceptions?
Or just even maybe from the inside the industry, what do people not pay attention to around profitability that maybe they should be?
It sounds weird, but most hotel operators aren't really paying that much attention to profitability.
Yeah.
But when they do, they're paying attention to it a little bit further down the P&L where they got to start making cuts and firing people and cutting back initiatives. we're trying to help people look at it from the top before you bring in the business that's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we find is that they just don't know that that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then introducing to them, hey, you can do this. Yep.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. What is a daily habit that you absolutely have to implement? You swear by, you do it.
I have a pretty strict morning routine.
Yeah.
That kind of changed my life about 10 years ago after I read a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod.
Okay. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So every morning it's, shower, coffee, a very specific way for me. I make my coffee very, I grind it, I pour over, only local, all those. I'm a little bit crazy with the coffee. I journal. I spend some time visualizing, hey, what I want my day to look like. What does success look like today? I spend time in the Word every day. And then my wife and I get a minimum of 10 minutes just talking to each other before the kids wake up. And then it sounds simple.
Yeah.
But when you put that into practice every day, the first 45 minutes of your day, it has compounding impact.
And it's an exponential compounding.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. That's fantastic. If you weren't in hospitality, what would you be doing? You get some music? Would that stir back up?
If I wasn't in hospitality, I would either be one of two places, I think. I would either be playing music full time again, or I would be in Franklin, Tennessee, working for Dave Ramsey.
Yeah. Incredible organization, EntreLeadership and everything there. All right. We'll kind of wrap it up with this question. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
So 20-year-old Matt was extremely immature, obviously, trying to struggle my way through college. I didn't have a wife. I didn't have kids. I didn't have commitments. I just had to attend class and not get kicked out. I would probably say number one for me, looking back, is to not confuse movement with progress.
Yeah.
I had a tendency to stay busy a lot.
Yeah.
For the sake of being busy.
Yep.
When I was 18 and 19, I got in a lot of trouble. And so I stayed busy to keep myself out of trouble. But much of that busyness didn't amount to much.
Yeah.
So if I could go back and re-audit my busyness, I would make sure that I was just being productive.
Yeah. More intentional things. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So Matt, I always like to ask, how can people connect with you, connect with your company? What's the best way to do that? Through all the various socials, LinkedIn's, emails, or what's some of the best?
Yeah, I am no longer on the big socials like Facebook and Instagram. I pulled those out of my life. So I'm mostly on LinkedIn, and the LinkedIn thing is easy. It's just linkedin.com/in/tech.
Yep.
Made it real simple, or you can just search Matt Teck on there. And
Teck, right?
Teck.
Yes.
T as in Tom, ECK.
Yes.
And then kalibrilabs.com, KALIBRI labs.com.
Awesome. Matt, thank you so much. I enjoyed this. Let's do it again. I always love kind of conversing over life and business and leadership and its impact. And thank you all for joining us on another episode of the Rise Up podcast. You can connect with us, Rise Energy at Get Rise Energy on Instagram, Facebook, our website, getriseenergy.com, all the different solutions and tools we can deploy for you and your company. And until the next time, Matt, thanks for joining us. Make it a good one. Keep rising up.